this session is about the SonarQube. And before starting with the session, I would like to know how many of you are already aware about this SonarQube or any other code analysis tool. So for that, Shruti, can you please launch that poll?
Sure, Trigonometric.
Yeah.
So the poll is on your screen and looking forward your responses, everyone. Okay, so 10 more minutes or 10 more seconds. Okay, so I'll just end this poll and the results are on your screen.
Okay.
64% says SonarQube.
Yeah, this is great. So majority of people are already aware about this SonarQube, and 43% are aware about the static code analysis, and 7% are there which are completely new to the static code analysis and this kind of tools. Okay, so let's get started over here. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible to you. Yeah. So this session is about the SonarQube static code analysis tool. So for those people who are not aware about any code analysis, so what is the code analysis is whenever we write any code, so the code is getting lengthy. So at the time, as soon as our code base is getting increased, it is very difficult to maintain it, because whenever there is a something uh, changes are there, ongoing changes are there, if the code is not manageable and it's a very lengthy, and if there is no any standard in the code, then it will be very difficult to accommodate the new changes, and also is difficult uh, to handle all those issues. So static code analysis helps you to maintain some quality of your code, to maintain the standard naming conventions, so that any developer who is, even if that developer is new to the project and seeing your code for the first time, since we have followed all these naming convention and standards, that code is easily readable and understandable to that developer. So for that, this code analysis tools work as a review tool. So whenever we implement any code, we give it to the lead for the code review. Where it is a manual code review, but these kind of tools are helps you to review your code from the technical front. So in that case, so what it does about the, if the in your code, if there are issues like based on the security issues or any readability issues, accessibility issues, so this kind of issues that code automatically finds and provide you the suggestions over it. So SonarQube is one of that, which is uh, open source. It has the 3 different editions. So in today's session, we are going to cover these majority of important features of this SonarQube. So here we will start with the introduction. Then we will see how the SonarQube server and Sonar scanner, what are these SonarQube server and scanner, and how to install them on your machine or any other server, and how to use that. Then we can use how to manage the different users, how to manage different projects, which are the languages that SonarQube Pro supports. Then what is quality profile, the quality gate, and then how the report looks like once we publish the code SonarQube to the SonarQube server, and other administration tools. So to start with, the SonarQube, as I mentioned, the SonarQube is a review tool, and that platform significantly increases the lifetime of application. So because it reduces the complexity of code, if there are duplicate codes, then it also suggests those warnings, and it helps to reduce the duplication. there are some potential bugs like performance issues are there, security threats are there. So all these kind of issues, this SonarQube automatically find and gives you the proper suggestion. And it's not just give you the comments like in this code you have that issue, but it also gives you how to resolve that issue and in which case this kind of issue can be occurred. So according to that, there are so many different categories and different languages. It has the different issues over there. These are list of warnings. So this helps you to keep your code neat and clean, and your entire code architecture is clean. It also supports for the unit test cases. So if you are writing unit test cases for your project, it also shows that coverage report over here. So in case if there are any code lines which are not covered in your unit test case, it also highlight those ones. So we'll see how it is look like. And here are some main key features of this SonarQube. So this is, it also, of course, it helps to clean the, keep your code clean. It supports 27 plus programming languages. So as I mentioned, SonarQube has different edition. So in all the edition, it supports majority of programming languages. So regardless of your technology, even your project is in .NET, in Java, in Python, PHP, that SonarQube only single server is capable of scanning all your source code and gives you proper comments on that. So it fixes the weaknesses that harm your application. Also, it releases the quality code. If there are any tricky issues are there, it also catches that one. And if you are already using some any other code analysis tools like static code analysis or ReSharper, that SonarQube is works with them without any issue. Also, if you have CI/CD pipeline for the build deployment, you can use this SonarQube as a build rejection policy, or to you can add those steps with the SonarQube. You can integrate with this so that you can keep continuous watch at the time of deployment itself. Also, with the SonarQube server, there are 60 plus commercial plus community plugins. So what are those plugins? So those plugins are nothing but the individual products. So to if there are any new languages or because for example C# is also keep in its version is getting released new version. So that there are individual plugins for each and every language. So we can update those ones as per whatever the support we need to provide. So this is about the SonarQube basic and what SonarQube does all about. So here are the languages. So all these languages are currently supported by the SonarQube, whereas in Community Edition, which we are going to look into it right now. So this is free tool, so open source. So everyone can use that Community Edition on their own machine or any other server, common server. So in that specific language our support is there, but the basic languages like Java, C#, C, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, SQL, all these language support is there in Community Edition. So we can go with the Community Edition. So there are 27 plus languages are there, which are currently supported by the SonarQube. So what is the prerequisite to have the SonarQube on your server? The software requirement is only that you should have Java JDK 11 or OpenJDK or JRE 11, because JDK is now paid version. So if you have OpenJDK installed, that is also fine with it. So this is the only minimum software requirement, and depending upon your project size or how many projects you are going to scan on that server, depending on that, this minimum requirement of RAM is vary. But for minimum RAM requirement is 2 GB. And one more thing is the 32-bit system on server side is not supported with the SonarQube. It should have 64-bit only. So at server side means the Sonar server where we install and configure all this setup, and at that on that server only 32-bit system is not supported. But with the Sonar scanner, which is used at client side, or we can say which is used to scan our source code and publish the report to that server. So for that Sonar Scanner, the 32-bit system is supported over there. Also, for that, the minimum JDK version is sufficient for Sonar Scanner. Now, let us see how to install that Sonar server, how to install Sonar Scanner. And there are SonarQube has their own documentation, which is a very in detail documentation. So you can go through those also. And there are so many features, so many platforms on which SonarQube can be used over there. So in their document has the good explanation in detail. So here we are going to start with the Sonar servers installation and setup. So with this link, or you can get this link on their SonarQube site also. So from there, you just need to download this zip file, and for the client side, you need to download this Sonar Scanner zip file. So before that, Shruti, can you please open the second poll? So this is about for those people who are already aware about the SonarQube. So this is about the how much expertise level currently you have with it.
Sure, Trigun, I'm just launching this poll.
Yeah.
So poll is on your screen and looking forward to your responses.
Yeah. And also please let me know if I'm going slow or very fast. So please provide your feedback on that.
Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, so I'm ending this poll and the result is on your screen. So Trigun, 77% says beginner.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay. So for those people, please let me know if my speed is very fast or it is okay to have it right now. So according to that, I will change. Yeah. So we will start with the installing the Sonar server on your machine. Okay. So once you download that Sonar server zip file from that link, you will need to paste it in some drive wherever you want to install that Sonar setup, and just unzip that. So here I have unzipped, already downloaded and unzipped this SonarQube 8.0 version. And also I have downloaded that Sonar Scanner version and that Sonar Scanner with MS Build. So I have already downloaded and unzipped that over here in the same folder. So before starting with this, you need to do some basic configuration at your system. So for that, I have created one small documentation for that over here. Okay. So what all things that we need to configure before starting with the Sonar server is, you need to set up some environment variables. Okay. So for those who are not aware about what is environment variable is, the environment variable, which I understand is, those are the wherever your installation or some specific installable softwares are installed. For example, I have installed Java 11 at this part. So for that, uh, so that Sonar server is internally using those JDK and other installation software. For example, Node.js. They need to use those JDK Node.js internally. So for that, they need to execute some command on their command line. So for that, if every machine, there can be some different location of those installations. So in environment variable, if we add that path in the environment variable itself, so no matter the location, so you can access those executables from any command prompt. So regardless of the prompt on which your command is executing, so it will be useful and it will be directly executing from there. So how to set those environment variables? So you can simply go to the start and edit environment system variable. So with this system property window in advanced tab, you will see here environment variables is here. Okay. So as I mentioned over here, we need to configure those executable Sonar path over here in the environment variable. So these 4 environment variables are useful for the Sonar server. But if you are using only Sonar scanner, then you can use those environment variables. So for the Sonar scanner, if you don't use this environment variable, then at the time of executing some command, you will have to give the complete path of that exe. So for that, to avoid this lengthy command, we can set up those base path in the environment variable, and we can directly use the only name of that exe and execute our command. So for that, for Sonar server, what we need this SonarQube home. So this already, I have already configured this over here. SonarQube home. Then Java home is there. So if you don't have it, you can directly add it over here. So, and after that, this in path variables, you need to configure this Java home, or instead of, if you don't want to use those environment variable in path variable, you can directly append this complete path over here. So like this. So in path variable, I have already added those. So here you can see this SonarQube home is already added. Also for the Java JDK, this JDK 11 path is also configured over here, like this. So once you're done with that, you can close this prompt. And then we need to do some Sonar properties configuration. So if you look at the downloaded Sonar server unzip file, so here you will see those many folders. So from that, in configuration folder, you will see 2 configuration files. One is Sonar properties and another is wrapper configuration. So if you open this Sonar properties, you will see there are so many options are already there, which are commented with this hash. Okay. So according to your usage, like how you want to use your Sonar server, like uh, this is the application which requires database. So if you want to integrate your or your configure your Sonar server with the SQL Server database, here they have already provided your some suggestions over here, and according to that, you just need to change your some values over there. This SonarQube is implemented in the Java, so that's why most of the this configuration is using some Java related thing. So for that, if you want to configure your SonarQube server with the database, according to that database, you can provide the connection string over here. So here we are going to configure this Sonar setup with the SQL server. So here for that, those are the properties that you need to mention in your Sonar property, that file. So here you have to give the database username and password, and you have to make sure that that user has access to the from this service to your database. Also, here the database server name and the database name. So here let's create one blank database. So before you start your SonarQube server, you have to make sure like the database is already present over here. So let's create one database with this SonarQube name. And after that, once you create that database, there are some SQL Server configuration is also required for that. So in the option, you will see here collation. So for that Sonar server to run it smoothly, we need to mention that Latin General 100 CSAS. This collation should be configured over here. This one. And after that, to avoid any deadlock with the database, there is one more option in this property, like is read committed snapshot on. So by default, it is false. We need to set it true and then click on OK. So once we're done with this, our blank database is created over here. So no need to create any other script or any other table. Once we configure this database in our Sonar properties like this with the database connection string and username password, and here are some port and log files. So Sonar server internally maintains their own log. So in case if there is any issue while executing the Sonar server or starting that server, we will see the log in those at this path. So those logs are maintained over here. So with this logs, you will see the generated logs over here. So you can go to it and troubleshoot your problem if you are facing any problem with that. So after once we configure these Sonar properties over here, we can mention the context. Like if you are by default, this is taking SonarQube is taking the port like localhost colon 9000. So at this default port, the SonarQube server will get started. But if you want to add some context over there, like after localhost 9000 slash SonarQube or slash Sonar, after that that context, your server will get started over there. So if you want to define some base URL for your server, you can use this property Sonar web context. If you don't define it, then it will directly start from the root. So once you're done with it, uh, that wrapper config, because that's to start the Sonar server, there is one wrapper config, wrapper ex is there, which is using it internally. So for that, you just need to maintain the Java path of the wrapper for that wrapper. So JDK11, there is Java file. So you just need to mention the path of that uh, Java file to the in the wrapper config. So which is again with the uh, Sonar properties and wrapper config. So once you're done with all this configuration, you simply need to go to the bin folder, and according to your machine, if you are using Linux, then you have to use this one. So currently I'm using this Windows, then I'm going to into that. So here you will see the multiple batch file, install, uninstall, start and stop. Because this when we use this SonarQube server as a service, we need to install that service. So here you will see the predefined files. So these files are already comes with the uh, that is zip file. So you just need to right click on that, and you have to make sure you are running those installation running as an administrator. So once you run that, you will see that SonarQube service is generated over here. So in the services, you will see this SonarQube server over here. Like this. So here from you can start that service, or you can when you put it as a startup type as automatic. So whenever your system gets started, that SonarQube service will start get running. Or you can use this start Sonar batch from here, run as administrator. So either you can use that batch file, or you can directly go to the services and start from there. So if you just refresh that. So if there is any issue at the time of starting this SonarQube service, that those issues will get logged in that log file over there. So when we use that 2 GB of RAM, you have to make sure that minimum 512 MB memory is available for this Sonar server. So if you see here that services it has been started, and that service Sonar server has created their own database tables and all those things. So whatever it required to maintain all the projects, users, so everything is maintained in this database. So it has automatically created their database structure over here. So that means our configuration is working perfectly fine over here. So here SonarQube is up. That means it is started. So for here that when your SonarQube is up, you will see this login page. So with here, you can directly log in. So by default, when you click on login, the by default username and password is admin. Username is admin and password is also admin. So once you log in to the Sonar server, so this is your server that how it looks like. So here you can create your projects, you can manage different users over here. So in the administration, so if you want to manage some users over here, or if you want to add some other users from your team, you can use this here, and from here you can create the users. Also here you can manage different groups. So these groups are useful. So when you want to provide some administrative access, or you want to provide some only read-only access to the some user. So you can manage those permissions, security permissions over here. So from that, so whatever the access you want to give at user level or at group level, you can give that access from here. So first of all, this administrator access. So what is mean by this administrator system is, here you will see this administration menu over here. So from here, you can administer, you can manage or manipulate the settings for all the projects. So whatever the projects you have on the server, everything will get managed from here. So this administrator means this is the administering the quality gates and profile. So what is quality gate and profile? We will look into that. So if you have access to it, you will be able to manage those quality profiles and quality gates for your project. Execute analysis means from the client side, when we have the source code, if any one of your team member want to execute, it is responsible just executing your source code and publish that report to the Sonar server. Then this access is required. And if we want to allow some users to create new projects, then you can create this, check this checkbox. So after that, they will be able to create new projects. So let us look into the quality profile. So as I mentioned, this SonarQube is supporting so many languages, around 25 plus languages. But since this is the community edition, that is free version, so with that, only their specific languages are there to which it is currently supporting right now. So you can see the list of those languages over here. And if you see here, there are SonarWay. So these are the quality profiles for each language. So what does it mean? So it means like when you open that Sonar link, you will see the rules, active rules and inactive rules. And those rules are categorized under the bugs, vulnerabilities, course mails, and security hotspots. So those are the rules. Like when you scan your project, when you scan your source code, which all warnings you would like to see or maintain the quality. So if you open that Sonar rules, you will see over here like should not be instead of. So this is one warning. Like these are the regarding the operator. So it is like when we append something to the string, that should be plus and equal to. It should not be equal to and plus. So this kind of syntax error or any naming convention or any security issues. So all kind of rules and warnings are there. So which are good to have to increase your performance. So from that perspective also there are those warnings are there. So related to that, those are the rules are here. So when we scan our source code and publish, so all these rules are getting validated against that. And if it match any condition over there, it will give you those as a warning or as a bug to your Sonar report. So here those are the categorized under the bugs, vulnerability, course mail, and hotspot. So from here, once you get publish the report, you will be able to see those warnings or issues regarding based on these rules from in your project. So this quality profiles is nothing but the collection of those rules. So there are by default there are so many rules, but it may happen with every project you have some certain coding standard. So according to that, uh, you don't want to implement some of those rules. So that Sonar you want to avoid those rules from SonarQube, then also you can manage the quality profiles from here, and you can active or inactive from your from that SonarQube rule. So by default, it is giving us this Sonar way. So if you want to create your own rule based on that Sonar rule, you can copy that or you can just extend that. So what is extend and copy? Copy means you can create the exact copy of that previous rule set and then you can make changes into that. And extend means apart from you will have that existing rule set over there, but if you want to add some more rules to that default rule set, you can use the extend. So here one thing is for the built-in Sonar Cube rule set, you cannot deactivate or active any more any of the rules over here. So that's why uh, we many time we just either extend it or we can create our own copy. So when you create one copy over here, here you will see the custom rule copy, and now this button is activated over here. So from that, here you can, if you want to use this, so equal to should not be used when equals is overridden. So if you want to allow these rules for your code, you can activate it from here. And after that, you can also define the severity, like how critical this issue to me. So if it is a blocking issue, you can add it as a blocker. If it's critical, then you can use the severity according there. Or if you want to provide this is some as a information, you can choose this info. So when this issue is occurred in your code and Sonar Scanner finds that issue, it will give you that according to the severity, you will get categorize that issue is over there. So this is about the quality profile. So quality profiles is nothing but the having the rule set to review your code. So depending on this rule set, that SonarQube is reviewing your own code. Now quality gate. So what is quality gate? So quality gate is nothing but suppose you have or you have set the quality profiles, you are publishing the report, and now it is getting some issues like there are reliability issues or there are setting security related issues are there. So you have to mention some quality gates like everyone is multiple people are working on the same code and everyone is writing their own code, and if it's not as per the recommendation and they have some security issues are there, so if you want to reject the code deployment at the time, you can implement those quality gates. You can create quality gates. So here you can add certain conditions like security issues. If my project is having security rating is less than A plus is the good. So here are the ratings for the SonarQube A, B, C, D, E. So A is the very good, or A plus is the very good. So according to that, if you want to define certain conditions like my security rating after with the new code, it should not be worse than A or B. So if you add that condition and if developers are adding code, checking their code and there are some security issues, because of that the rating is goes down to the B or C, then at that time you will see that quality gate is getting failed for your project. And you will see that badge over there once you publish your report. So according to that, you can decide whether you want to deploy that code or not. So once you integrate that quality gate with your CI/CD pipeline over there, you can directly get those values and you can implement the build rejection policy like that. So here there are so many certain conditions based on different metrics like code coverage, that unit test cases are there or not. Are there any duplicate lines? Are there any maintainability issues? Are there any accessibility related issues? So according to that, you can add your own conditions over there and you can prepare your quality gate. And once you do that, when you can assign those quality gates and quality profiles to your project. So now how to create the project or how to start with the scanning the source code. So for that, in SonarQube server, you have to create one project. So here I have one sample application as timesheet, and I'm going to create this like this. So here is the project key and display name at the time of when it will get same, but you can keep it different. This project key is required because at the time when we from the client side or any developer is uh, pushing their report to the Sonar server, this project key is required. So once you're done with this, you can click on setup and you will see your project is created. Now to scan the Sonar server, there are certain it requires some authentication. So for that, we need to create one token. So here we can give the name to the token and click on generate. So once you generate that token, you will get this token. You just need to copy that. So when you copy that token over here, just copy it and store it in somewhere because you will not able to see that token again once it is generated. So it's good, but you can create multiple tokens as many as you want. And even if you don't want to use any existing token, you can revoke them as well. So here, once we create the token, the next step is continue. And here to run the analysis of your project, here you can choose the source code of your project or which language, main language of your project is. So since I have the sample application with C#.NET, so I'm selecting that one. So here you will see the entire further steps over here that automatically gives by SonarQube. So as I mentioned earlier, for Sonar scanner also we can set this path variable, the MS build. So right now we are using the Sonar scanner with MS build. So MS build comes with the Visual Studio and VS Code to scan the project. So in Visual Studio also when we execute or compile our code, that MS build is getting used. So according to that, this it will give you those commands for the Sonar scanner. So there are 3 steps are here. So these commands are created over here. It's automatically, you just need to open that command and run in the command prompt. So for that, I have already, as I mentioned, I have already set up these path variables in the command prompt. So where I am going to define the path to the Visual Studio MS build and the Sonar Scanner MS build. So the zip file which you have downloaded, so that Sonar Scanner is under this another zip file. So inside of that, you will see those many files are there. So here you can see the Sonar Scanner MS build. So once you put that path, entire path in the Sonar environment variable, you can use that from anywhere from your system. So for that, we need to open this command prompt. And also it's good to open that command prompt with the administrator access to avoid any further issues over there. Yeah. So here we have open this Sonar Scanner command prompt. And after that, we need to follow those commands over there one by one. So you can just copy from it over here and in command prompt, you can paste. So once you execute that first command, it will give you this message, pre-processing succeeded. So now the time to the second command. So what is second command? Second command is actually rebuilding your project using the MS build, which you have. So I have already configured this MS build path in the environment variable. So that's why I can directly use this MS build API. If I don't have set that path to the environment variable, then I have to give the entire path here instead of MS build. So for that, to execute that MS build command, if your project is .NET project, then we have to mention that in that command itself. The solution file we need to mention. So like this. So right now my sample application is timesheet time tracker. So here it requires msbuild.exe and the path of solution file and the rebuild command over here. So I'm going to execute that one. So once you execute that command, that msbuild will scan your or compile your project. It create DLL like we do in the VS Code or Visual Studio in the same line. And once it is completed, now it has completed the scanning and everything, compiling your project. Now third command is useful. Now that this third command is used to the post processing. The first command was for the pre-processing and third command is for the post processing. So this third command is responsible for publishing this data batch, whatever it has scanned with this MSBuild. So that data is getting pushed to this Sonar server. So for that, third command is useful. So we are going to execute the third command. So many times, depending on your environment or the framework, you will see some issues at the time of processing the third command. So many times if it internally requires some Node.js dependency, and if your Sonar scanner is not aware about where is that Node.js or that path, then it will give you this kind of issues over there. But still, there is issue to scan some files over there. You will see the report is getting published. It will just skip those files for which it is getting error. So like this, here I am getting this Node.js error because that system is trying to execute this node v, and that is Node.js is not available. So for that, what we have to do is, if you don't have Node.js installed on your machine, then you can just go to that path. You can just install it, and that Node.js exe path, you have to mention it in the environment variable. So once you add that variable, then you have to just reopen your command prompt. So and execute all this, just repeat all these three commands, and you will see that project is getting published. So once the publishes, this post processing is successful and completed, you will see that the report is getting reflected over here in the overview itself. So right now in the overview, since there is no scan available, so that's why it is right now it is giving you this that configuration. But once it is this publishing processing is completed, you will see that background task is going on. So that means it is internally it is calculating or it is arranging this or creating that dashboard for you over here. So it will take some couple of minutes. But since we found some issue at the time of scanning the project, to avoid, because of that there are some CSS files or JS files are there which were not getting executed properly. So now we have added that Node.js path in the environment variable, and now we can just complete all these three commands again over here. So till the time before that issue occurs, apart from those issues, you will see this dashboard with list. Here you can see the quality gate is passed. Since this is our first scan, so that means it don't have any other parameters to compare to whether it is pass or fail, or there is no any threshold value to compare with. So that's why for the first scan, everything will get to pass over here. So here you can see the reliability related 391 bugs are there. There is no security issues. There are code smells, maintainability 1 and 1600 issues are there, and there are 1000 duplicate blocks are there. And here you can see which are the quality profiles are used for scanning this project, like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, C Sharp, which quality gate was used, and when was this scan happen. And here you can see the total lines of code. So your project is containing here 112 thousands of lines of code, and the individual language wise lines of code is over here. So when you click on this bugs, you will see the all the bugs that are in your project or in your code. So from here, you will see this description. So if you when you click on this, it will also show you the actual source code file and the line of where it was that issue occurred. So it helps it at that level. So here, what is the issue? This message dot search, that condition is repeated, which is absolutely of no use. So that's why it is asking like just correct both sides of operator. So these kind of issues it found, and that helps developer also to maintain the quality of code, and also uh, the your late review. In the late review also they will not require too much focus on the syntax and all those things. They can just focus on the functional and domain related code related issues over there. So this is how it is helping us. So once you're done with this, or once you take any action on that, you can change this status. If you find that if you have resolved this, then you can mark this as resolved as fixed. If it is false positive, so what is false, what is positive? Many times it gives some comments like which is actually required over there. So according to your project, I want this condition. Just suppose I want this condition to have it like this, but still SonarQube is giving that comment like that it is not correct. Then you can mark it as resolved as false positive. And if you are not going to take any action on that issue, then you can resolve as one fix. And once you do that, you can add your comment over here so that everyone can see that comment from the SonarQube server. Also, if you have some SVN or any source control management integrated with SonarQube, you can assign that ticket to specific developer. So from here, you can assign, if there are multiple users added in the SonarQube, you can select their name from here and you can assign to that specific developer. So right now here, only single user is there. So that's why I have assigned over here. So also there are some notification services are there. So once that issue is assigned to someone or some changes, after those, automatically email will get sent out to that specific developer to which these issues are getting assigned. So from here, the filters, you can apply multiple filters and see the one by one, every rules over here. If you want to see the language specific rules, like if I have any HTML related, then it will also give you like remove the cell padding attribute as it is deprecated. So it gives you at the line where it is good, what is the issue. So all these things we can get over here. Also, here you will see the 5 minutes effort. So SonarQube is also automatically calculate how much of efforts will it take to fix these issues. So depending upon this code depth, technical depth, it automatically calculating this 5 minutes of effort. So their numbers is it is automatically calculated. So it is just tentative high level estimate to fix any issue. So that it does. Also, if you see this, this is not a code smell. This should be a vulnerability or bug. You can change the category of that bug from here itself. And if you want to see more information about that rule, you can see this over here. You will get the entire description of that. So apart from that, so this is all about the SonarQube server. So now how to use the other developers will get used. So whoever is don't have access to this SonarQube, they also need to understand what are their issues before checking their code to the source control. So with that, if you are using the Visual Studio, with every IDE, there is Sonar Lint plugin is there. So you can see that plugin from the extension. So you have to install that SonarLint plugin. So it comes with the Eclipse IDE, VS Code, Visual Studio. So this SonarLint is helpful to scan your project before checking that code, or at the time of writing that code itself, it is calculating. Uh, it will show you. It will give you that warnings over there. So once you install that SonarLint extension over here, you can go to the Teams Explorer, and here you will see this SonarCube. And from that SonarCube tab, you can give the actual path of your SonarCube server over there. So for that, it requires the token which you have already created. So you can use that token over here to connect your project to the SonarCube server and the URL of your project, Sonar server. So this is the base URL. So it asks for the HTTPS, but since we have on local, it is okay. So once you connect that with the token, you will see that specific project over here. And from that project, you can bind it. So once you right click on that timesheet project and bind, so it will get connected to the Sonar server, so that all the issues which you are seeing on the Sonar server, you will get to see, you will get those issues from there. So for now, SonarLint is supporting the C# code over here. So once you bind that project to the SonarCube, in your project itself, you will see this timesheet C# rule set. So all these rule set which we have defined over there, you will see all these rule sets are automatically added at your project. And when you rebuild or scan your project from here, you will see those list of issues in the warning tab itself. So here from the tool itself, you can select. So once you install that SonarLint extension over here, you will see that all these issues over here listed in your error list. And also there were the first in the first scan we found the issue in the at the time of uh, scanning this project for the first time. So we fixed that Node.js path in the path environment and it repeated all these three commands again. And now it is succeeded. So when you see at the project in the overview, you will see there are two scans happened. And now your quality gate has been failed because in the first scan there were found 391 issues, and after that it found some more issues. So now it has some calculation or it had some threshold values to compare with. So that's why whatever the issues that found in the new code. So this new code means because of that Node.js issue, some files were not has been is not scanned, and after fixing that issue, those files has been scanned successfully. So those issues are calculating here as a uh, comparison, and you will get to see what how many issues are there in the your new code. So every time whenever you scan, you do some changes of your source code, and you will get to know how many how many issues are you have been introduced in newly written code over there. So this is how 91 issues are there, and those are related to the CSS and all. Because of Node.js, those CSS files has not scanned perfectly. So once we fix that, we are getting those issues over here. So depending on that, you can take any action on your project regarding that. Yeah. So there are some. So this is the basic feature and basic usage of the project Sonar Scanner and Sonar Server installation setup. So apart from that, what all things you can done with this? So here you can see the administration, and from that you can define the scope. The scope means there are auto-generated files are there, or there are some files which are from the third party, like basic base JavaScript library. So those issues we are not going to, we should not bother about those. So we can add those files as an exclusion over here. So we can just mention the name of that file or the generic path of that. So here you can see the pattern of that. So if you can write, if you want to avoid all the files from the specific folder, you can give the pattern like this. So this double star means it matches, compares with the 0 or any number of directories. So this F00 folder is there. If it found it at any level, it will found that, and it will ignore those files from the scanning. So like this, you can add multiple source files or any in the batch, you can provide the source file exclusion, so that whenever you publish your report, that code report will get say see only for your written code and not the third party or auto generated source file. So from that you can avoid those. So it can be covered in the analysis scope from here. So for the duplication also, if you want to avoid some duplicate code from specific files, you can mention those over here like this. So now with the Sonar's role, it has some their own Sonar rules. Also, there is a Roslyn Sonar Analyzer. Roslyn Analyzer is a third-party tool which has their own rule set. So if you don't want to use that Roslyn, you can change this setting from here for your specific language. So that Roslyn specifically provides some .NET related or C# related or rule set, additional rule set. If you don't want to use them, you can switch off that toggle from here. So regarding that, if you are using any external analyzer, then you can do those settings from here. Also the number of scans. So here you can see then all this, how many scans happen. So if you want to keep only number of scans after 1 day or after a specific day, you can mention those over here. It also has the very good description of that why this field is used. So it's very much user friendly. So anyone can just go through it and easily configure those settings from this administration. Like C#, as I mentioned, if you don't want to analyze the generated code, you can switch it off from here. If you want to ignore the header comment, because sometimes it gives the comments from that header, whatever the documentation we provide in the code from there also. So you can take and configure from there. And if you are using unit test cases, then you can configure those report paths over here, so that those code coverage will get to see in the Sonar itself. So you can configure it with the NUnit or MS test or any other unit test cases over here. And the last option is for the source control management. So this is for the if you have connected with the Git, if you are using Git for your source control, you can configure it over here, or SVN you can configure it. and as soon as any new project is taken in the SVN, that automatically the issues which you are getting over here, that automatically you will get the name of the developer who has taken that file, and it will get directly assigned. Or from here, if you want to assign it somewhere else, you can get those assigned to those from here itself. So every developer can log into this Sonar server and check their own issues under from this. So here, how many issues I have. So from that, they can get their own issues and work on them like this. I think we are already running out of time. So till the time, if we can take any question, because there are some more introduction part is like how to use the web API. So if you go to this help button, you will see this web API over here documentation. So which is again in the same URL. So when you set up any server, all these web APIs are everything already hosted over there. So you can explore those web APIs, and you can write your own application by using these APIs. And you can write some kind of utility like exporting these projects or creating projects through the another application. So like this. So from that here you can see the quality gates, quality profile. So if you want to export this all these reports to somewhere Excel file or to provide some CSV, you can make use of those APIs, and according to that, you can build your own application for that. Yeah. Can we take?
Hi Trigun, Shruti here. So we have a question in Q&A section if we can address it.
Yes. So in
And
someone is asking in Q&A is like, in case of C#, what if we have multiple projects, for example, multiple solution files, and how we can pass it for scanning? So here the answer is, as I mentioned, the commands which we are using for, we have to give the SLN path over here, right? So this SLN path, so if you have multiple solution files, those that means those are the multiple individual projects. So here for each solution file, you can create its individual project over here. So if it has, suppose this timesheet web app, this is that web app, and it is using another web API solution, then I can add here one more project with timesheet web API, and I can run the same command, just changing the project key in this command. This project key will be get changed, and then I can use that the solution file path of the web API, and it will get scanned. So according to that, you can scan all your projects. However, how many solution files you have, you can create those many projects over here, and you can maintain and track each and every project solution over there.
if anyone have more questions, you can raise your hand. I'll unmute you and you can ask it. I think we have one more question in Q&A.
Yeah, someone is asking like, you have shown the warning displayed in Visual Studio. Can we convert this warning to errors in Visual Studio itself? Yes, because it is already implemented, or it is goes into the your Roslyn, go to the that rule set. So from here you will see this all those warnings, and specific warning, if you don't want to use them as a warning, then you can convert them from error or information, or just make it hidden from your code itself like this. So from here you can see all those Sonar Analyzer. So once you install that Sonar lint over there, you will see this Sonar Analyzer tab, and from that, all those warnings are listed over here. So from that, according to your choice, you can change it, the severity or action. So when you convert this as an error, and if your code is having this warning, your code build will get failed. So like this, you can use that. And also at the time of writing your code also, it gives you warning at the time of writing your code. So here, if you hover on that, it is using remove unnecessary using. So here you will see the code of the Sonar, and here you can see the URL. So if you want to more information on that, you can click on that, and it will open in the browser with that rule itself. And here you can see the detailed information about that rule, why this rule is happening, and what kind of precautions we can take, and how to resolve those issues over here. So you will see for each and every language, you will see those number of rule sets are there. So you can go through all those according to that. So at the time of writing code itself, it is giving you those warnings. So you can address it at the time of implementing your code.
Okay, any more questions? You can raise your hand, so I will unmute you. Okay, Trigun, seems like we have no more questions. Do you want to cover something else?
Yeah. So since the community edition is a free open source, so you can try it on your own machine and you can publish the projects from there. And there are so many other options are there. So I will provide all those configuration which are required to configure your project with the SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, or any other Postgre database. And even if you don't want to use any database, you can directly start the service instead of having those Sonar properties configuration. If you just download that zip file and unzip it and start that batch file, if you execute those batch files, your Sonar server will get executed, and everything that database is getting stored on your in that application itself. So like this also you can use, but if you have the large amount of project or number of projects are used, it is recommended to use some database. So we can have the backup and monitoring high availability. We can work on that. So like this. So I'll share all these documents and the links. So anyone will get the direct links from the SonarQube documentation itself. And it also have the detailed implementation, and not just with the MS build, but also they have with the so here you can see all the detailed information for each and everything. So you can use Sonar Scanner with those many platforms. So if anyone have any query at the any point of time, you can reach me over the email, or you can let the know Shruti, so we can take it right. Yeah. Yes, Shruti.
Sure.
So I'm done from my side.
Sure, Trigun. Thank you so much. I have shared the feedback link in the chat window, so please do share your feedback over there. And thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. Thank you so much, Trigunatmak. Thanks
Yes.
for conducting
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Thank you, and bye.
Bye.